Hey gang, I am Jay, your GM, player and guide. Welcome to Homemade Heroes. Today I'm really pumped because this is episode 1 of our Shadows of Sunder adventure, using Shadowdark and SoloDark. If you want a little bit of background, I did do a session 0 not too long ago, and also a video about SoloDark, so you can check out the links for those below. Also, big shout out to Shadow Darklings, all you folks on the Shadowdark Discord, as I really appreciate your support. And for those of you that are watching that are not yet subscribed, please subscribe, as it does make a really big difference. So let's cut the chat and get straight into the action. Brushing aside a long blade of grass that wafts against her cheek, Nanna stops and looks around. She curses herself. She should have known not to take that shortcut, but she was in a rush. Her friend Serwin had requested her presence in order to help his son, Finistarial, go through the coming-of-age rite known as the shrouding. If she hadn't been in such a damned hurry, she would have stayed on the trader's road and not be in this pickle. As Nanna looks around, she's reminded of other times when she's travelled through the Whispering Sward. The long, tall grasses, anywhere from 2 feet to 8 feet tall, cover this part of Sunder, from horizon to horizon, broken infrequently by small hillocks and lone trees. Nanna has started to become slightly worried that something may be tracking her. Upon stopping, she's heard rustlings that suddenly stop, almost in time with her steps. I'm going to roll on the Oracle and see if this sense of unquiet that Nanna is experiencing is in fact a tangible danger. So I'll roll my d20, and if the result is over a 10, so an 11 to 20, then the answer is a yes. If the roll is a 10, it's a twist, and if the roll is under 10, so 1 to 9, then the answer is a no. That is a 12, so the answer is a yes. There is some kind of danger around Nanna. Nanna listens carefully, cocking her head to the side. All of a sudden, she hears a rushing through the grasses to her right-hand side. A small reptilian figure darts out of the grass, a tail jutting back and head forward, teeth gleaming, a huge talon on each of its hind feet, the hind legs bunching up underneath the body and pushing pushing it forward at a quick rate. So because Nanna is a goblin, she has keen senses, which means that she is unable to be surprised, which is quite lucky in this situation, as surprise means that whoever surprises the other group is able to get a round of action before the other group can respond. There's no surprise in this situation, but we need to now compare the initiative of this reptile to the initiative of Nanna and see which of them is going to go first in the following rounds. So I know that Nanna has a +1 modifier, but I also know that this small reptile has a +3 modifier to dexterity, so they are definitely going to go first in the initiative order. This is out of initiative order, but let's quickly roll an intelligence check to see if Nanna knows what this beast is. A 17. That is a pretty good roll. Unfortunately, Nanna's intelligence modifier is -2. However, this means that she still gets a 15, and I would have said that the DC for this knowledge would probably have been a normal, maybe just over normal. So a normal difficulty class or DC is a 12, and I would have put this at probably like a 13 or 14, so a little bit under a hard DC of 15. Nanna immediately recognizes this reptile as a velociraptor, or the oversized and wickedly curved talon on each of the velociraptor's feet is very much able to disembowel and rend. Nanna knows the danger that she's now in. Knowing that the Velociraptor has the higher dexterity, they are going to go first, and I'm just going to keep a record of the combat over here on the corner of this map. It is a wet erase, dry erase map from Paizo, and so I'm just going to use a dry erase marker and keep track of what is happening. So I put the Velociraptor at the top of the initiative order. I put Nanna below her, and I know what their respective armor classes are. And their hit points. So let's roll for the Velociraptor and see if they have a successful attack. That is a 15 plus 3, so that is an 18. So that's going to hit. Rolling a d6 here as the damage die. That is a 5. Okay. That's a big hit. Nanna only has 7 hit points, so this is dicey already. Nanna staggers to the side as the talon on the foot of the Velociraptor opens up her thigh, almost to the bone between her hip and her knee. She reaches down and tries to close it up with one hand, but realizes that this is just going to disable her further, as her warhammer requires 2 hands to use. So she reluctantly lets go and grips on her warhammer, ready to strike the Velociraptor. So we're going to roll the attack for Nanna. That is a 17. So 17 definitely hits. She also gets a +2 to attack, one from weapon mastery and the other from her talent. That's a 19 total, and that hits. So the damage die for the warhammer is a 10. So let's roll the 10. That is a 9. Okay, a 9 plus 1, because again, the weapon mastery adds a +1 to attack and a +1 to damage. So that is a 10 total. That is fantastic. Her hammer swings through the air, and as the Velociraptor had passed behind her and was coming in for another attack, the hammer hits the Velociraptor in the side, and there's a breaking of ribs, and a small amount of blood splurts out of the Velociraptor's mouth as it flies off through the grasses to the left of Nanna. She stands with her hammer over her shoulder, looking in that direction, waiting. She sees blood just dripping down some of the stalks of grass in the direction that the Velociraptor had been sent with her blow. She waits. No sounds come, and she relaxes slightly. Suddenly the pain hits her, and she reaches down to her leg. Resting her hammer down on the ground, she looks at the wound, and keeping an eye out in the direction that she had hit the Velociraptor, she uses a dagger to slowly cut away some of the cloth below her chainmail, and wraps it around her leg, drawing the edges of the wound together. She ties it in a knot tightly and puts some weight on it. Nanna curses herself again, knowing she should have stayed on the road, and this may just have cost her not only time, but maybe her life. That was pretty awesome because Nanna rolled, I rolled a 9 plus a 1, so 10. That was the Velociraptor's exact hit points, and so she was able to kill it with one crushing blow of her warhammer. Nanna reaches down and picks up her warhammer again, this time resting it over the shoulder on the opposite side of the wounded leg, and she limps off through the grass, looking ahead and above to see if she can see a tree that will give her a vantage point to establish how far from the town of Haast she now is. So before we finish that scene, I'm going to roll a I'm going to roll on the Oracle to see if she's able to spot a tree that she can potentially use to climb up and establish exactly where she is. So that is going to be a D20. And remember, 1 to 9 is a no, 10 is a twist, and an 11 to 20 is a yes. Okay, that is a 15, so that is a yes. So after limping for a few hundred yards, Nanna comes to a small hillock on top of which a tree grows up and spreads these long, wide branches that spread out for like 40, 50 feet over the top of the grasses. So we're going to roll a check now to see if Nanna, in her injured state, is in fact able to climb the tree and hopefully pinpoint her location. So we're going to roll a strength check. And Nanna has a +2 to her strength. That is a 3. Okay. 3 plus a 2 is a 5, and that is definitely not enough to climb the tree. Trying to pull herself up the trunk of the tree, Nanna like reaches up and suddenly her grip slips and she slides down just a couple of feet that she'd managed to get herself up. Wincing as weight comes down on her wounded leg, she's blast. And she looks up into the tree, trying to find a better route, an easier route, or to think of something that might help her to scale this tree and find a good vantage point. Having stopped to think, Nanna realizes that she's carrying the tools that she usually carries when traveling through Sunder, and she rustles through the sack looking for, here it is. She pulls it out. A coil of rope, 60 feet of rope. And she looks up, nods to herself. This ought to do the trick. I'm going to roll a dexterity check to see if Nanna is able to get the rope over a suitable branch, because I know she's strong enough to do this. She has that +2 modifier. But is she dexterous enough in her current state to be able to like throw the rope over a branch and then use that to kind of pull herself up? Let's see what happens. So that is a 13, and with her dexterity modifier of 1, that's a 14. I'm going to say that she's able to do it. So just kind of wincing ever so slightly from time to time as she moves, she coils an end of the rope up and knots it so that there's something heavier at the end, and slowly swinging the rope, she lofts it up into the tree and it hooks over a branch straight away. She lowers that end down and then ties it off to the other end of the rope and pulls it in close to the trunk, using it to support her as she slowly starts to scale the tree trunk. She only needs to get about 15 feet up to where the bough that she threw the rope over attaches to the trunk, and she pulls herself up, pushing away from the trunk slightly, and gets her arm over the top of the bough, pulling herself into a seated position astride the bough and looking off into the distance. There is a little foliage obscuring her view slightly, but well, let's roll on the Oracle and see if she's able to see the town of Hast. So we're looking for a yes, hopefully, and now I'm gonna use odds on this occasion, which I didn't on the last roll on the Oracle. I just kind of assumed that it was a 50-50 or even odds. I'm going to say that it is likely that she is able to see Hast, because she did take the shortcut knowing that Hast was in the direction that she initially started off in. And I think that's enough to give this advantage or likely odds that she sees the town of Hast. All right, we got a 5 and a 10. So the 10 is a twist. Because 10 is the highest and we're rolling with advantage, we take the higher roll. So there's the 10, and this is a twist. So what is that twist? Well, as she looks out over the sea of grass, and far off in the distance, probably a couple of miles away, sees smoke rising above the surface of the roofs of Haast. She breathes a sigh of relief, and looking down again, something catches her eye, a movement out of the corner of her eye, and she looks over to the right. Limping around the small clearing that the tree creates underneath it, she sees another velociraptor. This one limping. Clearly not the same one, a different color entirely, where the previous velociraptor had been a brownish color. This one has green patterning on its hide, and it limps around every now and again, making a kind of clicking sound. Nanna stays very still and watches as this velociraptor, limping, moves around the tree from time to time, swinging its head and looking around. Okay, let's roll on the prompts table, as I'm not sure what exactly this means, but I want to get some more information to find out what direction the dice are pushing us in here. I'm going to roll a D100 twice to get a noun and a verb and find out what this prompt is going to be. $81. So 81 is fumble for the verb. And let's roll again. And that is a 14. Light for the noun. So fumble light. What could this mean? Fumble light. So this has got me a little stumped, but I'm going to reverse the order of the two words, and I'm going to say it's light fumble. So sitting in the tree, gripping onto the bough that is between her thighs, looking down at this small lizard, all of a sudden she starts to sway a little bit as the blood loss from her leg makes her come over a little bit faint, a little bit lightheaded, and she has to quickly crouch down and grab onto the branch with her arms and wrap her legs all the way around the bough. With this movement comes a little sound, and the small lizard, the velociraptor, looks up, and seeing her up in the tree, it scurries over. It's noticeable to Nanna that the velociraptor moves significantly more slowly and with that limp in its gait than the one that she had killed upon being attacked. And the creature definitely doesn't seem to be aggressive in its approach. It moves over to her belongings, her hammer and backpack, which now lie at the foot of the tree, and its nose quests forward. Seems to be sniffing as Nanna looks down. It seems to be sniffing at her hammer. Its tongue darts out and just licks at the dried blood that still coats the front of the hammer, the business end of the hammer. And as its tongue touches the blood, the creature scuttles back, and this keening cry comes from the velociraptor. It sways its head from side to side. and then looking up into the tree once more, turns and limps away into the grasses. Nanna breathes a little sigh of relief, and spending a moment or two to watch the edge of the grasses to be sure that it is gone, seeing the movement of grasses gradually diminish in the distance as the velociraptor seems to have moved through the sward. She lowers herself down the rope, pushing with her legs as gently as possible against the tree to maintain her balance. Now knowing where Haast lies, she's feeling a little bit more comfortable about heading off into the sward again. We're going to finish scene 1 there, and that was a fairly action-packed scene. I had a little bit of trouble with that initial prompt, but it was cool that with a kind of a change, a reverse in the words, I was actually able to come up with something that made sense to me and sparked a little idea. Having dragged her sorry carcass out of the sward, and upon asking questions to townspeople that looked on in undisguised curiosity and also concern at the state of her leg, Nanna has found her way to Serwyn's house, or so it appears. Stopping in the street, she looks up at the 2-storied, stately manor in front of her. This is certainly not the home of the Serwyn she once knew, her adventuring companion of many years. But it's been a long time since Nanna has seen Serwyn, and she muses to herself that it seems likely that he would have made good on his skills. He was always a motivated fellow, and looking again at the house, she's unsurprised to find that he has moved up in the world. Nanna makes her way up the 3 steps to the door, and dropping her hammer at the ground by her side, lifts up a tired hand to rap on the door. She waits. Footsteps approach the other side of the door, and it swings open. She's faced with a youth, an elven youth, who looks her up and down. Yes, I don't see how, but may I help you? Looking up at this slender youth, Nanna responds, "Well, don't just stand there, dear. You're going to leave an old lady out in the street bleeding all over the place. Is Serwyn in?" The youth stutters, "Yes, my father's, he's inside. Who should I say is calling?" "Oh, your father, is it? Well, does that mean you are Finistarial?" "Why, yes, I am." "Well, Finistarial, would you mind going and getting your father or inviting me inside, as I'm about to fall down?" "Okay, you can come in, I suppose." And Finistarial disappears into the house, leaving the door open. Nanna hears the soft patter of feet moving away in what seems a slight rush. Limping into the foyer of the house, she pushes the door closed behind her, and seeing a bench seat along one wall, slumps down into it, resting her backpack and hammer down on the floor beside the bench. He's done well for himself, all right. She looks around and seeing a well-appointed lobby area that has beautiful woodwork throughout, with a stairwell at the other end, doors opening off to either side of the foyer before the stairs. And coming from one of those doorways, she sees the tall and distinguished figure that she immediately recognizes as Serwyn. Morna, is that you?" The stately elven figure rushes over and crouches down by Morna. What
What is this? Did you encounter some troubles while on your way here? Finistarial, immediately get somebody to help. We need some first aid supplies. Please, quickly.
And turning back to Morna, as he knows Nanna's name to be, he reaches out and
please, don't be alarmed, Morna. I will take a look at it. I don't know that there's much that we can do to heal this immediately, but we can give you we can clean out the wound and put a poultice on it and set you to rest. Good meals. Hopefully that will be enough to help you heal quickly.
Morna, or Nanna, reaches out a hand and lifts up Serwin's head, her fingers resting just underneath his chin. It's okay, Serwin. It'll be okay. I've survived worse. You know this to be true. Get me comfortable and then let's talk about Finistarial. I understand you want me to escort him on his shrouding.
Yes, that is correct. There's nobody I would trust more to support my son in this ritual, this coming of age, this initiation. As you know, this is something that is most dangerous, and I would not lose him. He's a good boy, perhaps a little arrogant, to be honest, but, well, I trust that you will help with that as well. You always had a certain way of bringing those aloof and high and mighty down a peg or two. But please, enough chatter from me. Here, let's get you into a more comfortable position.
All right, a little roleplay heavy section there. I didn't roll the dice at all, as you may have noticed. But I did have a few preconceptions, a few expectations about the relationship between Morna, or Nanna, and Serwin. A little bit of backstory that I hadn't really written down, but I had kind of considered. And so as it has played out, we see that they were old adventuring companions, and that there is this rite or ritual that Finistarial needs to go through, and that his father Serwin has asked Nanna to help with. That's the end of scene 2. We're going to leave it there for today and pick the adventure up in our next video, where we start at scene 3. Thanks so much for watching, folks. Hopefully you're enjoying where this is going, and we'll see you real soon at our next episode in the video series.